What's up, everybody? In today's video we're going to be talking about perks. Recently there was some changes to the perks and the perk meta in Warzone with the addition of Tempered and Combat Scout and the change for High Alert. I was going to make this video as soon as the new perks dropped, but High Alert didn't change, so I figured I'd wait for High Alert to change and then I'd go ahead and make this video. I think the perk meta is a little more wide open than before. It wasn't the same one or two perks in the first slot, the same one or two perks in the second slot, and the same really one perk in the third slot. I'll go ahead and I'll start off with eliminating perks that I would not use in Warzone, and then I'll go over the remaining perks, and then I'd kind of give you what I think perks you should run based off of your playstyle. So let's go ahead and jump over to the perk screen and we'll get into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the first perk slot. I wouldn't use Scavenger. You can just pick up ammo off of dead bodies, loot for it, buy an ammo box. Wouldn't waste a perk for that. Kill Chain, I wouldn't use. You don't need to find kill streaks and supply boxes. You can loot and buy them if you really want them. And if that's the only benefit, it's just not worth it to me. So those two I wouldn't run at all in the first slot. In the second slot, I wouldn't run Hardline because it only gives you 25% off of kill streaks, field upgrades, and armor plates at the kiosk or the store, shop, whatever you want to call it. And I don't really think that's a big deal, and it's definitely not worth some of the benefits you can get from other perks. And Point Man, you get more money for completing contracts, but I don't really think that's all too important or a very big deal. For perk 3, I wouldn't use Tune-Up because you just reduce revive time by 25%. That's not a whole lot. Usually, you're not going to revive unless it's safe, and so a slightly quicker revive isn't really worth it. Shrapnel, you can just go find your extra piece of lethal equipment. You don't need to... you don't need it to get an extra one as soon as you get your loadout. Spotter, you could use. I don't think it's worth it just to hack prox mines, C4s, and trophies. Claymores, you might as well just be more careful, and it's not going to be beneficial to you too often. So I wouldn't run those for the third slot either. For the first slot, for the perks I would run, I would use Double Time. If you're an aggressive player, you move around a lot, Double Time's a good one. You get a longer tack sprint, and I believe you only have to slide cancel once, but either way, you get a longer tactical sprint, and you don't need to slide cancel as often. EOD, of course, you take less damage from explosives and fire, like grenades, fire breath, shotguns, whatever. Cold-blooded, before I would have never ran cold-blooded, but now you get the benefit of you don't trigger High Alert, and it negates Combat Scout. The Combat Scout being the big one, because Combat Scout, if you don't counter it, can be one of the most broken elements of Warzone. Guns, perks, whatever aside, Combat Scout can be extremely broken and extremely abused. And Quick Fix, I would really only run this maybe on Rebirth when you're already not going to have as many plates anyways. But this is kind of niche, super aggressive, super pushy, but you don't feel like Double Time helps your movement enough. Maybe go Quick Fix instead of EOD. Obviously, Restock, you recharge both lethals and tacticals in 50 seconds, so then you don't need to loot more, get more munitions boxes. Definitely negates the need for Shrapnel. But that's one option, especially if you're aggressive, you want a lot of stuns, or Semtexes, or you like to hold buildings like Iron does, and you want Claymores, or Prox Mines, which I'd recommend Claymores over, but Prox Mines or Claymores to restock so you can move building to building and not always have to worry about picking up your lethal equipment. Tempered, another perk that I think is a little bit niche, more for the super aggressive, so that way you can plate quicker, hold more plates, push more stuff. This is going to definitely be more for the aggressive player. High Alert now became more useful now that you can hear dead silence footsteps. So far since they made the change, I haven't had enough times where I get killed by dead silence where I'm like, man, I really wish I had High Alert over Tempered or Ghost. And then Ghost, you already know, you're undetected by UAVs, radar drones, and heartbeat sensors. Overkill, we have something to talk about because you're going to grab that in first loadout, and then second loadout you'll get one of these perks, but Overkill is not a perk you would run, so to speak. And then for the third perk, there's only two that I would personally run. Amped for the faster weapon swap. I don't care about the rocket launcher reload because I don't use rockets, but the faster weapon swap's big if you're pushing into a building. You need to switch to your SMG, you get caught out rotating out in the middle of nowhere, you need to switch to your AR. To Gunfight, Amped is a very good perk, especially for that latter situation when an SMG can't do the job. Very rarely you're going to be in the building and need to switch quicker to your LMG or AR or whatever. It's only going to if you run out of ammo. And then Combat Scout, I had a video on it that I can link below. The video was on that and Tempered. Another really broken, really useful. Love this, especially if you're playing with randoms or your team's comms aren't always the best. Or you pair this with FMJ and you can actually wallbang people and keep pinging them. You can kill them through the wall. It takes a lot of shots, but that's the really broken part of it. And then I could see running Tracker, especially in solos when you're chasing somebody down. It shows you where their footsteps are. And then Battle Harden, it's okay. It doesn't really do enough against stuns to be worth it, but it is something that you can run. So if we're talking super aggressive players, one thing you could run if you're pushing a lot of teams, especially by yourself, is something like this. If you're pushing people, so your health heals when you kill somebody, your health heals, you're quicker to plate, and you can chase people down easily. I would run, instead of I'm going for aggressive, I would go with this. So if guys get behind walls and I get that shot in their foot, it shows me where they ran to. And this would be one aggressive perk setup. If you're talking just aggressive, I would also consider this for very aggressive play. This would be probably my most aggressive perk setup. Also, high alert here. If you're rotating a lot because you're going after a lot of kills, you'll be able to see when people are looking at you, get behind cover, dodge them. And then restock, obviously, like I said, if you want a lot of stuns, Semtex is to push addicts or push people behind cover and stuff. This is another really good aggressive setup. If you like to hold buildings in position power positions, I would definitely consider EOD from people throw grenades to try to get you out from behind cover. Or cold-blooded, so you're not triggering people high alert when you're sniping, and so you can't be pinged by Combat Scout. As well as if people use like thermal recon drone setting or whatever, you aren't picked up by that. But I would probably run EOD for that. And then I would go Ghost or restock, like I said, for Iron. He uses it for his Claymores, so when he moves power positions, he doesn't have to make sure he picks them up. And then I would run Combat Scout. Again, I'm running Combat Scout in all my classes, and if I wasn't running Combat Scout, it would be amped, especially on an aggressive class. But if you're more of a power position class, you can go ahead and run this. Same thing if you're just a straight-up camper, you can run this as well. My main perk setup right now has been more along these lines, a little mix of aggressive, because you still get rockets, grenades, or pushing buildings, claymores, prox mines, just so I can survive those more. But that's really, I feel, the perks that are useful, the ones that aren't, how I would run them, how you should run them based off your playstyle. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I do have all my social media linked down below if you wouldn't mind visiting those. But I'll see you in Verdansk and on Rebirth Island. Get frying. Have a good day.